Welcome. Today what we're going to look at and review is tennis elbow. Obviously we're moving into summer, so more people playing tennis, gardening and a whole host of other activities that can tend to flare up this quite problematic injury that people can get. So I've got the spine here just to try and help describe where you're going to be getting problems and what's involved. Because it is a bit more complex. It's not one of those very straightforward things. You've got tennis elbow, and this is what you do, you resolve it. There are a host of other areas that can be involved in it. So I've highlighted your arm bone here, and the point down at the bottom here is where the tendons attach in that create the tennis elbow. Now, most people with a tennis elbow will describe a point of pain, and that will tend to be an irritation of the bone itself that can get very sensitive. But as I scan in a little closer and just add in the muscles on here, you'll see, and I'll try and highlight them as we go through, there are a number of different muscles that attach into what is known as the common extensor tendon. And it doesn't show very well individually here, but there's sort of one tendon that these 4 or 5 muscles attach into that take most of the load. And it's when that tendon is asked to do too much repetitive work or a dramatic change in load, as we would expect with most tendinopathies, you'll tend to get an irritation of that tendon. So as we know, if you've looked at any of the previous tendinopathy videos that we've done, and we advise you to go back and have a look if you're not 100% sure, but tendinopathies don't just settle down like a muscle injury, they take a bit longer. So what you're looking at is a tendon that's in there, the bone getting irritated, and then obviously it irritates the muscle and how that functions, which is why people tend to experience symptoms coming further down their arms, which I'll talk about a bit more in the next video. Now, the thing with the tennis elbow, yes, you've got the tendinopathy element that we need to address, but I would say in probably half of the tennis elbows that I see, there is a relationship going back up into the shoulder and the first rib. So if I pull back out here, just carefully, so we can see, if I get rid of the muscles, the first rib sits up here, okay? And where the first rib sits is where the nerves tend to leave through the neck, out across the ribs and down into the arms. They can be affected by that first rib movement, and so any associated neck or rib problems can create pressure on the nerve as well. And we also tend to find associated shoulder problems as well. So actually how your shoulder is functioning, going back to the long bone here, and the muscles behind, there we go, the muscles that attach in around that rotator cuff area, we tend to find that a lot of those muscles are involved. They're either weak or tight and affect your shoulder movement, which changes the load into the tendon in your elbow. And so that's when we tend to relate things through. So if you're going to go and get this treated, it will be, yes, looking at the elbow and understanding what's happening there and the tendons around the elbow, but also really looking at your shoulder and your neck and making sure that there's no issues that are feeding into the problem or creating the issue or loading that tendon excessively, which is going to cause the problem to come back, because that's the last thing you want. Once you've got rid of it, you want to make sure that you can keep it at bay. Okay?